Simon Clarke, who is a former Treasury Chief Secretary, i.e. #2 in the Treasury, who says, right, Brexit's done, now give us a budget to boost Britain. Can Jeremy Hunt and Rishi Sunak do that? Must Jeremy Hunt and Rishi Sunak do that?
Of course they can. So the reality is they're not. The reality is that we have the highest tax burden in 70 years. The reality is that we've just had one of our largest pharmaceutical giants that's headquartered in Cambridge that worked with Oxford University, the AstraZeneca vaccine, deciding to invest hundreds of millions of pounds, not here but in Ireland, because they have a tax rate of 12.5%. The reality is that we have Arm, a company, a high-tech company that every one of us has their technology in our mobile phones, started in Cambridge, that has decided to list in New York and not in London. That is the reality. We're narrowly avoiding a recession. We have no growth. Our productivity has flatlined, and we are putting up taxes. And the government, I'm afraid to say, is just not listening. And I said to the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, when he was Chancellor from February 2021, I said, Rishi, do not put up taxes. You put up taxes. We don't know when this pandemic's going to end. People are struggling to survive. They need help. And if you put up taxes, it will stifle the recovery and will hamper growth. And what did he do? And what is Jeremy Hunt doing? They just keep putting up taxes to the highest level in 70 years. This is hugely damaging. The corporation tax going up from 19% to 25%. That's massive. I mean, that's almost 1/3 in one swoop. And then you're removing at the same time the super deduction, which is 130% deduction, where you get a deduction from your income tax if you invest in your business. That's being taken away in April. So it's a double whammy.
Yeah.
This is
Karen, have you seen the report in the papers from the KPMG document suggesting that many multinationals, not least American multinationals, are avoiding the UK not only because of the corporation tax that you've just very eloquently dismantled and underlined the damage of it, but also because of continuing red tape and at government level, quotes, a lack of drive. That's KPMG quoting American companies.
This is what has really worried me. We in Britain, with this tiny country of less than 1% of the world's population, is still the 6th largest economy in the world. We've just been overtaken by India. But we have always been a magnet for inward investment. Historically, we've either been the 2nd or 3rd largest recipient of inward investment in the world. And when we were part of the European Union, we were seen as the gateway into Europe as well, into 27 other countries. Well, we haven't left Europe. We're still part of Europe. We've got to make the most of our biggest trading partner at our doorstep, 45% of our trade. But the good news this last week was the Northern Ireland Protocol being hopefully resolved. Now, I just hope that the DUP agree to this and that we can actually get on with something practical to enable Northern Ireland, which was the Achilles heel of Brexit, to be resolved, so we can get on with all the other important things with our biggest trading partner, including Horizon, the collaborative research, including so much more to enhance our trade and business between our biggest trading partner. All that's been held up for 7 years. So the whole world looking in at us. When I travel around the world, Alice, it is actually, I find it very upsetting what people say. What is this great country doing to itself? And we have so much potential. We have a labor shortage. We have over 1 million vacancies. The good news, I believe, at long last, we've been crying out to the government saying, activate the labor shortage occupation list so that we can bring in labor where there are shortages. Hospitality, construction, just about every sector has labor shortages. If the government listens to that, that will help a lot. Getting people back to work, people who have not come back to work after the pandemic, whatever we can do to encourage people to come back to work. Encouraging self-employment, the IRS 35 that was going to be reformed, that is now not going to happen. So we need basic things like that. Encouraging investment in R&D and innovation. We invest 1.7% of GDP. America, Germany invest almost 3%. So that's a whole percentage point more. That's more than £20 billion more per year that we should be investing in R&D and innovation to power ahead our productivity and our growth. These are the sort of things that need to be done.
I asked our mutual friend Anthony Selden a moment ago on the programme if he understood or if he thought anyone understood what it means nowadays to be a fiscal conservative, and he said he rather doubted it. And you remember, I think we talked about it, in the wake of the Liz Truss Kwasi Kwarteng budget, there was a leading article in the Telegraph that said the Tories need to have a fundamental debate about what the Tory approach is to growth, because it's not just going to come along, it does require policy.
Absolutely. And it's the sort of things that I'm talking about, to have a competitive tax system. And by the way, the tax system, not just corporation tax, I've given you one or two other examples, but freezing the tax thresholds means that every individual in this country, their taxes are going up because we've got an inflation environment where inflation has hit 10%, and you've got frozen thresholds. That means you're getting taxed more. It's as simple as that. So everyone is being affected by this. And you can't have an economy growing when people have, I mean, you just heard from your previous interviewee how she said, we're burnt out. I mean, business, how much more can business take? 2 years of a pandemic, 1 year of the Ukraine war that exacerbates everything, creates inflation, creates supply chain issues, creates an energy crisis. How much more can businesses take? And then you whack extra taxes onto business as well. It's absolutely the wrong thing to do. And then you say we can't afford it. Well, borrowing. If you look at the OBR report, after Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, they had a good plan. They just went about it the wrong way through irrational exuberance. Their plan for growth was absolutely what this country needs, but they didn't do it properly. Afterwards, you had an OBR report with Jeremy Hunt's plan. If you look at that report, do you know what borrowing is going to be? It's still going to be 100% of GDP 5 years down the road.